This is for your best friend who has raging hormone symptoms, who's estrogen dominant. Send her this video and I hope this empowers her to investigate for more options for herself. When we discuss estrogen dominance, you have to understand what is it dominant to? What is that hormone that is it supposedly superior to? And that hormone is going to be progesterone. If you don't know me, I'm Dr. Daisy Anglo. I am a naturopathic physician and my practice focus is helping men and women just like you support their gut health and hormonal health. I know it's been a minute, but March was kind of full of surprises, so I'm feeling better and time to dive into more estrogen talk. There are 4 classic ways estrogen can be in that so-called dominant state. Honestly, it should be called estradiol dominant state, not estrogen, solely because there are multiple types of estrogen. What your lab has tested is estradiol, not estrone or estriol. If E1 estrone is your estrogen reserve, it can be converted into E2 estradiol. Before menopause, it comes mostly from our ovaries, our fat cells, our adrenals, and our liver. After menopause, it mostly comes from our fat cells. So a healthy amount of fat on our bodies as we age is quite protective. E2 estradiol is the strongest form of estrogen, which before menopause comes from our ovaries. And as we naturally age, that is going to decline. Then this is the one you really want to blame for all of your PMS woes. E3 estriol is the weakest form of estrogen, the highest one in pregnancy, but we make E3 naturally as well, keeping our skin youthful. Gone to the labs and you've tested your hormone yourself and you're freaking out that your estrogen is so high compared to your progesterone. You have to remember levels of both estrogen and progesterone changes daily and varies from menstrual cycle to menstrual cycle. Different phases of our lives are going to have different levels, and that's completely normal. There are still levels that are going to be more ideal for women in different stages of their lives. You have major estrogen dominant symptoms, you are not feeling well, perhaps come back, and now what? Two different scenarios where you can have elevated estrogen compared to progesterone, being estrogen dominant, quote unquote. You have high estradiol and normal progesterone. You can have elevated estrogen and low progesterone because you're not ovulating or you did not ovulate this past cycle. Or you can have normal estrogen and then truly low progesterone, again, because you're not ovulating. The last scenario I see quite often is when all the hormones are low. You have low estrogen and low progesterone. You're estrogen dominant by default because even though all your hormones are low, estrogen is still a little bit higher than your progesterone. All the 4 scenarios, you're not going to always need to truly decrease your estrogen. Situation I see often where estrogen has been so villainized, like it's the bad thing to decrease all of our estrogen. Time and time again, I see women coming to my practice because they have all these awful PMS-like symptoms, they're not feeling their best, and they truly have healthy levels of estrogen. They just don't have enough progesterone to balance it all off. It's a ratio, it's a balance, and also understanding that different phases of your menstrual cycle are going to have different levels. So if you're testing in the follicular phase where estrogen is expected to be higher to progesterone, you're going to have a high level, and that's healthy, that's a good thing. If you're testing in the luteal phase where progesterone is king and it's supposed to be nice and high in the 10s and 20s, but yours come back low and your estrogen is high, then it's time for a talk. Not always estrogen, often is progesterone or just a healthy balance of a ratio. And I know so many women where the ratio could be off just by a little bit depending on their menstrual cycle, and they'll feel quite awful. So you have levels that are healthy for you at this phase of your life. So before getting on DIM and calcium diglycerate and lots of flaxseed muffins, try to clear out and detox all of your body's estrogen, remember to talk to like a naturopath or a functional medicine practitioner so we can really look at your levels and also match that with your symptoms.